More like Big Time Adolescence. I'm sorry. This movie is a 2019 comedy coming-of-age movie written and directed by Jason Orley. It stars Pete Davidson, Griffin Gluck, Sydney Sweeney. Oh wait, that was Machine Gun Kelly? Well, I guess it had Machine Gun Kelly. I don't listen to him enough to know what he looks like, but yeah, he had a role in this movie. It follows pretty much the same formula every other coming-of-age movie does. High school kid who doesn't fit in, falls into the wrong crowd, drugs, alcohol, more drugs, tension builds between the main character and the parents, main character has sex with the wrong love interest, drugs, police get involved, main character underwater in someone else's pool.
Congratulations, you have successfully come of age.
Wish my high school experience was like that. All I did was hang out in the McDonald's parking lot till 2 a.m. Not once was I submerged underwater at a house party running from the police. I was never invited. Anyway, speaking of dudes who never really got over their high school phase, Pete Davidson plays Zeke, a guy who represents every single dude who peaked in high school. You know the one. He didn't play any sports or do any activities, but he was still popular because he had the cool parents. And now his hobbies include selling drugs to minors and manipulating girls. So Zeke ends up unknowingly taking on a mentor role when his ex-girlfriend's younger brother Mo starts hanging out with him. And Mo is just like every other easily influenced teenager who just wants attention, still figuring out social cues, desperately looking for a group of friends to validate him, sits at home while everybody else moves on with their lives. So because 25-year-old Zeke gives 16-year-old Mo the time of day, and Mo has literally not lived enough life to know any better, naturally, Mo prefers hanging out with Zeke more than he does kids his actual age. And then everything you'd expect to happen with that pairing of people ends up happening. Zeke gives Mo drugs, Mo hands him out at parties, instant clout. People get upset, and then eventually everybody has their own, oh my god, what am I doing with my life moment. And I will say, even though this movie had a lot of elements of other coming-of-age movies, it definitely knew that it was a comedy first. Sure, it had its melodramatic moments, but it treated them with the same aloof, sarcastic attitude that Pete Davidson brings with his comedy. Anytime something with emotional weight came along, everybody would just kind of shrug it off and dismiss it as something that was irrelevant or not really a big deal. And I thought the movie did a really good job of staying consistent with that theme. Something else that caught my attention was the extremely realistic and authentic selection and grouping of characters. These are not some otherworldly characters that are loosely based on random people. These are the dudes who never left their hometown hanging out with the kids who are currently still in their hometown. Like, these depictions were spot on. From the empty bragging of how they were all legends when they were in high school to the never-ending talk of, I'm gonna start a podcast once I finish XYZ. I'm gonna write a movie script once I finish XYZ. Yeah, I could've gone pro if I didn't turn down that scholarship, if I didn't tear my ACL. Well, time to join a pyramid scheme. Oh, you don't want to join my pyramid scheme? Well, time to do real estate. Oh, I gotta look at houses. Well, time to go drink alone. Yo, anybody who's trying to link up, I'll be on the corner. And not only were the characters super accurate, the relationships that they had with one another were super convincing. So much so that there were multiple times I almost forgot that I was watching a movie. The brotherly relationship between Zeke and Mo just happened so naturally, and things kind of unfolded organically in their own special way. It was like, in Mo is the Zeke that never grew up, and in Zeke is the Mo that currently still is. Also, Machine Gun Kelly actually did a pretty good job playing Zeke's homeboy, Nick. He's really the closest thing this movie had to a voice of reason. I mean, besides Mo's dad, who, by the way, was actually like a pretty cool dad throughout the entire movie. Everything he did was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna give you a reasonable warning before I do anything rash. And then, of course, when he did something rash, it was justified, and, you know, like, he gave you the warning, so. But yeah, Nick is the only person who realizes at some point in the movie that he is almost 30 years old, and he is still hanging out with a 16-year-old. And that's about as deep as this movie gets. Because when your subject matter is comprised of shallow characters, you're pretty limited with how much you can do. I felt like I knew exactly what was gonna happen in the movie just by looking at the movie poster, and I was right. But then again, this movie knew that it wasn't trying to be super deep, and it stuck to that. It was an authentic reflection of the types of characters we see in the world today, and it was more of a critique than an appraisal of those characters. And I think it's super relatable if you were or are currently in that demographic. Again, I personally just played video games and went to get food with my friends when I was in high school, so I couldn't really relate on a personal level, but I bet a lot of other people could. So yeah, I think with all that being said, I am gonna give Big Time Adolescence a 7 out of 10. It's a good, entertaining movie, but at the end of the day, it's just entertainment, and that's all it really was to me. So let me know what you think. Agree, disagree, whatever. Later. Oh, also like and subscribe. Like, please, I need it for for that algorithm. All right. Later again.